Diverted and came here, or were you headed to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport?
Actually, that was the plan, but what we are advocating for is actually change. But I am of different opinion because I don't see like the biggest objective. Because if we occupy JKIA as young people, is an economic sabotage. That's what I would call it, because there are people traveling to hospital, there are people going for businesses and all that stuff. And that is why I'm saying that if at all we are serious enough, we just occupy where we're supposed to occupy.
Where are we supposed to occupy?
Of course, whoever the target is.
Who's the target? Who are we targeting? Because you call it an economic sabotage.
Yes.
What if that is the plan? Because sometimes when you bring things to a heart, then maybe your voice is heard.
Let me tell you, I can't stand to support either side because I want to face things.
You cannot be sitting on the fence. In this particular struggle, you need to pick a side.
Now, we need to be factious in this point. That is what I'm driving to, because we need to be very factious and to look at what are the objective of achieving whatever we're doing. I want to say that I participated in the X arrangement for the first time of 18th to occupy the parliament. I was of different opinion on that X, and I asked these people, like we want to occupy the parliament. Do we do it after or before? I told them if we occupy after, we don't meet the objective. So if we are serious enough, then guess what happens? We need to block all the roads and head into the parliament so that now we are able to meet the objective, which in this case was to make sure that that bill does not even get to the table. So I am a person who advocates for such fights we are seeing today for change. Actually, I was very vocal in month of May, you can say. If you analyze actually my videos in month of May, you'll actually suspect that I'm a person behind whatever happened afterwards. Because I am a person, and I have even given my aspiration, but let me just say this, because I want to put it as a disclaimer to Gen Zs and millennials. I am not coming out to say that I'm a presidential aspirant in 2027 because this is happening, because I'm not an opportunist. I did it before this commotion came. And I want to say that it is important for us young people to check around so that we don't have opportunities, people coming around and taking advantage of what is happening. But what we are advocating right now is change, good governance. You get no impunity, corruption, and this kind of stuff.
I'll get into the details of that because you see we have quite a little bit of time to go.
Correct.
Let me come to you, Benaya. This is the thing. The struggle started about a month ago, and the push was the Finance Bill 2024. We rejected it, and at some extent felt betrayed by the parliamentarians who went ahead and passed it, and to the chagrin of the people, of course. And the people decided to occupy the House. The events that later followed, of course, were the president did not assent to that, cabinet dissolution, and the demands have been rising and rising each and every day. We are demanding for, or rather, the people are demanding for good governance and accountability and quite a lot of things in terms of change when it comes to leadership in the country. Then the president says, okay, I've heard you, most of the things that you instructed me to do, I've been able to do. But people are not giving up yet. So you are a young person in this country, and your first statement here was, we are occupying JKIA. To what end?
Thank you so much. I'd begin my icebreaker with a statement that the young people of this nation are actually very tired of governance, of the kind of services they're receiving, of how this government is responding to the current state of this particular nation. And whatever we are seeing in this nation is as a result of the piling pressure that has been continuous to the people of this country. And it has gotten to a time where people have said enough is enough.
Okay. Also, the president has said enough is enough.
Same to what His Excellency has said, enough is enough. So does it mean it's a stalemate? Does it mean that the next piece on the board should be moved? So who's on top? So I would I would differ with my counterpart, Mr. Patrick. Because in the face of atrocity, you can never sit on the fence. But at the same time, you ought to be a wise person and come up with solutions that are tabled for us to actually get to move forward. And I'll say this. All those things that have happened so far, I'd attribute them to one thing: lack of adequate communication. Up to this point in time, the young people still feel as if we don't require dialogue for us to have accountability. We don't require dialogue for adequate services to be rendered to the citizens of this country. So it's a situation where everyone is pulling their own rope. Those administrators on this side and the citizens of this country. So here's the catch of it. You can't bring these two parties on one table minus a strategy. So you have to look for a bargain. But now the question is, who are you supposed to bargain with? Provision of services. You see, when this country actually comes out and says we have a public debt of trillions of Kenya shillings, and we as the taxpayers are the ones supposed to pay this particular debt, accountability on the accumulation of this debt is not seen. Services, when we are seeing people actually flaunting large amounts of cash out there, and there is someone in school, in a university, that is not actually able to meet their daily subsistence simply by virtue of not being able to sustain themselves. Okay.
Now, you used quite an analogy there when you're beginning, and I like to believe you're a chess player because you call it, you call it a stalemate. From a fellow chess player to another. This is the thing. I don't believe it's a stalemate, and this is not an opinion. I'm just trying to assess. I don't believe it is a stalemate. People are making moves.
Correct.
The president, the public, that is the Gen Z, of course, did make their first move. And the moves that they did make forced the president to sacrifice some of his nicest pieces to some extent.
Very correct.
And I do believe, while doing that, because that's a smart chess player, whereby I'll force you to sacrifice your queen, I force you to sacrifice your bishop and your knight, because at the end of the day, I want you to have a weak defense. But now, it is the time, he's already made his move. It's now the time for the people to make their move. So he's waiting for that. But this particular move that the people want to make, how detrimental is it to the end game, especially with what they are looking for? Because the people are looking for a win. But what is this win that we're actually looking for? Are we looking for a change in governance in totality? Because the hashtag has been Ruto must go. Is that the end game at the end of the day? And will occupying JKIA and continuing with the protest lead to that? Or is it a dangerous move to the public at the same time?
I'd respond that by saying, you see, there's an element that people are actually not understanding. You see, when they say Ruto must go, it is not an element of that particular person being Ruto should evacuate office. Ruto in this case is a metaphorical word meaning bad governance. Okay. Because practically what we've seen up to this particular point in time is bad governance. But I would attribute his bad governance because there's this saying they used to say, that particular person is not bad, but those surrounding him are the ones misinforming him. So I would go back to the prior cabinet that was there, likes of Murkomen and the rest, that are the henchmen of the president. Okay. And they are the ones that are giving advice to His Excellency. So we'd ask ourselves, what kind of advice would some particular segments of people give in accordance to governance of this country? Well, if governance is the topic in question, he should be the one to understand what this country actually needs. Some time back, they threw the ball towards NIS, the National Intelligence Service.
Okay.
But I don't believe that was the initial problem that we had.
Okay.
So when they're saying occupy JKIA, it is detrimental to our economy. But you see, they say a desperate man leans on a straw. So I would attribute the actions of these young people to be acts of desperation. Because up to this particular point in time, their decrees and their wants have not yet been heard.
Okay, if you say they have not yet been heard, and yet the president you'll hear the president say, I've listened to most of the things that you wanted me to do. I've done quite a number of the things that you were demanding initially to be done. And that has to do with reject finance bill, which was rejected, dissolution of the cabinet, austerity measures have been put across. Of course, it's in the office of the budget for the office of the first lady, the spouse to the prime cabinet secretary and office of the second lady. That was scrapped. So austerity measures have actually been effected. Some of these things have been effected. So if we say, they've not been listened to, I don't know, have they not been listened to? Or most of the demands that they wanted have not been achieved entirely?
The problem, first, before I got too far, I want to respond to the fact that I myself am in solidarity with Gen Zs and the millennials and any other Kenyan who is, who is anger for change in this country. But what we have here and in this scenario is sequence of priorities. And I want to put it very clear. One, I want to say that I am not standing in between, but from the fact that I'm a security expert and bearing that I come from the security point of view, I was in the Defense Forces, Special Forces, and I was also in the National Intelligence Service. So at times, at this point of time, I am what I was, and I need to stand for what is true and what is factuals. In response to that, I would really say that as he has said that Ruto must go is a metaphor, which is okay. But you see, there are only two options, and that is why I said, me as a former Special Force soldier, we used to fight, and the fight, before you go to any attack, you need to have the kind of formation. What resources do you have? What is your objective? Because you can go attack and not meet the objective. Okay.
Do we have an objective here from what you look at?
From the point of view and from the attack of JKIA, actually we do not have an objective. One, because the objective is Ruto must go. So Ruto must go is the objective. So he does not live in JKIA. Two, we are doing economic sabotage in this country.
So if you say Ruto must go and you say he
doesn't
live in JKIA, should he go to State House then?
That is now, if people were serious enough and they really want Ruto to go, where does he live? Does he live in JKIA? Of course not. We need to be factuals. So when we sabotage the economy of this country, there are people traveling for business. There are people traveling for medical checkups today. There are people traveling for other important things in globally. So let us not, use orthodox way to deal with an issue that we can deal with it once and for all. And there are only two options. If Ruto must go, one option is, and as I earlier stated, we have failed in order of priorities. Once we were able to achieve about the bill, the second thing would have been, could we have an IBC in place? Can we reconstitute it immediately? One, to deal with the first thing, which was the members of parliament that went against the will of the people. So I'm seeing that would have been, that I'm now trying to chronologically make sure that we have priorities in order, so that now we have the whole package and achieve what we are supposed to achieve.
Do you feel like to some extent the public lost what we'll call a roadmap on exactly how to go about the things that you're actually championing for? Absolutely. As a fighter, as I've told you, as a security expert, I'll tell you for sure, people have lost the direction. You understand? That is to us who want to be on the street, and even to the executive who are in office today. There need to be people like us who, in any case, will tell it as it is, because we need to understand. One, Ruto is the objective.
And Ruto being the objective is the old government system. As he has said, which is true. And that is what I'm advocating for. We need an overall of our leadership and political game in this country.
So how would we go about that? If at all, you know, that's the end goal. That is what people are looking at and saying.
This is two options, as I said. One is through orthodox way. In this orthodox way is a coup. We cannot even use anarchy to kick Ruto out of the office. It's a coup. In which way? If people are serious and want Ruto to get out of the context, guess what happens? He does not live in the state. He doesn't live in JK. We go to State House. Okay. You understand? Two, the other way is to make sure that Dr. William Ruto, our president today, hurry up on constituting the IBC, so that when we have control of the members of parliament who went against the will of the people, we can have now a parliament that we are able to control as people. And we can now tell them, you know what, we want vote of no confidence to Dr. William Ruto. So let us not play games here. If people are serious, which I'm also serious on this game, let us have an objective, and an objective not a sabotage, but an objective that is what we are looking for.
But whichever objective it is, to some extent, is still going to have this price to pay. Whichever way we decide to go about it.
Who's going to pay it? Ruto is not an investor in JKIA. Who's going to pay it? Let us be factors. If we are going to JKIA and because it's Ruto's business or something, we would say we are still trying to sabotage our objective.
Now if people decided to occupy State House, then there's a price to pay for that.
So why can't we pay the price if we are serious enough?
So,
in fact, as
you want people say that
as far as this country is concerned,
Patrick, there's been people have paid the price as we speak.
As we speak, yes, people have already paid the price.
People have already paid the price.
For what?
For demanding change in this country.
Up to until this point.
In which way?
That has to be the biggest price.
Definitely.
Let me say, people have paid the price, which I apologize and I condole them. But you see, we lost people. It's very painful. But if you look at which we lost these people, we were not yet going to the objective. We better lose people when we are going to the objective. That is what I'm trying to pass the message.
Okay, come in here because I don't know. Are we going about this the wrong way, or the price to pay for revolution and the change that is desired in this country has to be this heavy?
Actually, to be very honest, it actually is, because when you look at revolutions across the world, name them, the South African one, the Russian one, the Iranian revolution, all these, definitely the citizens of that country have a price to pay. But to be very honest, the National Assembly of this country is not a true picture of the citizens of this country, because the National Assembly, or rather the Parliament, should be a definition of the nature of the population that this country actually does have. We have the country's demographics up to this particular point in time. We have 80% of young people being the target population. But if you look at the National Assembly, we have less youth that are in the National Assembly, and it is basically dependent on the political structure of this country. Most of them are from the ruling part of this country, which definitely makes the decisions of Parliament. You see, I saw today's headline was on the rubber stamp. Is back.
The members of Parliament,
yes.
The House.
So those are people that execute commands given from State House.
All right, Bunai, I think you'll hold that particular point there. This is the thing. I do want to take a short break on this particular program. We'll be coming back in a few, and I already see Vivian, who is a communications and public affairs expert, is already in studio. We'll be engaging her also to get some her insights as far as the Gen Z Occupy Tuesday is concerned here in the country. It has been a trend. Every Tuesday, people are taking to the street to demand for change. To what end? We seek to get to that, to get to that particular conversation and try to see which is the best way to go about the change that we desire in this particular country. Continue engaging us on our socials at K24 across all social media platforms. We've been taking a look at your feedback as we continue with this particular program. All right, we'll take a break.